Hey, hope you're well. You know how they say that you never really get better at something, you just get better at hiding your mistakes? Well, in this video, I'm going to fess up to some real howlers that I made during the drawer cabinet build, that drawer cabinet. And I'm also going to show you how I've resolved them. By the way, this is going to be using some of the behind the scenes footage that's normally reserved for the 10-Minute Workshop Plus members. So if this tickles your fancy for a bit of exclusive content, then do consider joining us as part of the 10-Minute Workshop team. We'd love to have you on board and taking part. There are details down below and at 10minuteworkshop.com, or you can sign up directly at 10minuteworkshop.plus. So we're going back to earlier in the year when I was making the 3-drawer unit for the workshop. This was supposedly the final piece of shop furniture, and I was using this project to combine 3 different types of drawer construction and drawer runner, and also making the most of limited materials that I had for the actual cabinet carcass as well. Let's pick up that member video and fess up to the first big problem. Oh, this little cabinet's sent to try me. Clamps are off. All that's all glued up nice. I was just offering up the front trim. I've trimmed this back to size, nice snug fit and all that. And I've realised that it's just ever so slightly out in the centre. I was trying to figure out how on earth I could have got that mid panel out of square, because that's the only way that could be. Because I cut that mid panel, with a square against the rail, and it turns out it's not out of square, it's absolutely perfect, which means there can only be one answer, and that's the flipping sides are out of square. I don't know how I've done it. I did notice when I moved to get one of the shots, when I moved the front part of the rail hinge, that one side of it wasn't quite tightened up, and I wonder if it just wasn't quite hard up against the stock. And either way, I've cut the 2 sides slightly out of square. Now, ordinarily, that wouldn't really matter if you've got doors on it, but if you've got drawers going into the face, I'd either have to make all the drawers skewy or cut all the faces at a very slight angle. So I've got the dilemma now of, it's about 2 mil, do I just trim the top faces of this back by a couple of mil and hope nobody notices? I mean, the whole point of this is that you're only going to see it head on. But, because the other option would be to cut the trim off completely and replace it. Which means also replaning everything back and then, refinishing all the inside edges and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, God, I think the sensible thing to do is actually just to trim the fascias back to start with and see how bad it looks. If it looks ridiculous, then I'll retrim it. But yeah, not what I needed late on a Friday night. Wish me luck. So that didn't actually look too bad until I realised that by trimming back the front edging, I was actually making the cabinet shallower, less deep. And that was going to give me a few headaches with the top drawer, which I'd already made at this stage. So all the coloured MDF trim had to come off and be replaced. It's simple enough to do, except that the coloured MDF is 19 millimetres thick, and because we were using it on edge and the regular carcass was 18 millimetres, I had a little bit of hand plane action needed before the final sanding could be done. I'm just going to let the glue dry, see what happens, and we come back to that later. So carcass settled, birch ply trim fitted, and only plus members any the wiser, and the top drawer all done too. I could move on to the middle drawers. Now, although this was a shop cabinet, I wanted to make it as if it was a commission piece, so I cut all the drawer fronts from a single board so the grain of the maple would flow nicely across the whole frontage. This always looks lovely. The only downside is that if you make a mistake on one of those, it affects all 5 drawer fronts, so you really want to avoid doing that. Let's pick up some more of that member video. Put a rebate on there, then you've got to be careful where you put the groove for the drawer base. The groove for the drawer base caused me all kinds of splintering problems with this thin veneer. Had to do zero clearance inserts on the router bench and all that sort of stuff. Dealing with all that, trying to figure out where the dowels need to go for the drawer face, and I just can't get it squared up. It's just driving me potty. And I suddenly realise when I mark these up, I put, middle drawer right hand side on the inside face, so I know which is which. And I've got middle drawer left hand side on the inside face, which means I've put the groove in the outside face, which means that the grain doesn't match up anymore. So now I've got the dilemma of, do I replace these 4 and just let the top one slide? Do I just replace the middle 2? And it's just something that I really don't need right now. I mean, it is what it is, it's just, no matter how much you mark things up and identify things so you think you know what you're doing, you can just miss it. Especially when you're out of practice, like me, when you haven't made that much recently. And it's just infuriating. I've got the rest of that board, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to find a bit of grain that is similar enough just to be able to patch in the 2 middle drawer fronts. But it means I've got to make all these again. But yeah, just, maddening. Absolutely infuriating. And so easy to do. And yeah, you do something as stupid as that. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing for the next hour or 2. And indeed, an hour or so later, I had something that I could actually live with. It is far from perfect, and if it was for my own home rather than here in the workshop, I'd probably have redone all those drawers, and certainly if it was client work, then without question I wouldn't have delivered a hack like that, even if I thought I could get away with it. There were many more smaller, silly little mistakes that were made on this project, just like they've been on every project I've ever done. But as I said at the start, there were a couple of real howlers on this one that set me way back. But everybody makes mistakes. It's how you deal with them that matters. And in this funny world of Instagram and YouTube perfection that we occupy, I don't feel that there's any harm in showing your screw-ups, as long as you also show how you overcome them as well. Anyway, I hope this little confessional has helped. If you fancy joining the pity party, then let me know in the comments down below what your biggest mistake was. And if you enjoyed the behind the scenes exclusive video content, I do an extra couple of videos most weeks for 10 Minute Workshop Plus members. Details at 10minuteworkshop.com, or sign up directly at 10minuteworkshop.plus. But I'll draw a line under this one for now. Thanks so much for taking a look, and I'll see you all again very soon.